Shore High, Canada on June 18th, Thursday. Vera Lynn, who sings that song, will meet again. There'll be birds over the white cliffs of Dover. And a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. Vera Lynn died at 103 yesterday. I thought I'd begin the show today by reminding us we're all mortal, even people who sing immortal songs. Good morning to you. There's a lot of news for today's The Rundown. Let me get to it. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo continues his meetings in Hawaii with his Chinese counterpart over the strained relationship in Beijing and Washington, D.C., over Hong Kong, Taiwan, and many other issues. Those are important meetings. They're not getting a lot of attention, but I'll bring you up to speed with whatever happens there if anything is announced in the course of this morning's show. In a move that is guaranteed, I think guaranteed, to reelect Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado, the Senate voted to guarantee $900 million in funding for conservation acquisition. It's a Cory Gardner bill replenishing the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Big win for Cory Gardner. Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve says the stimulus measures have to be renewed by July. I wrote about this in the Washington Post yesterday. In order to keep the recovery going, I think that will be a prod to the Senate to do just that. The EPA announced yesterday they're not going to regulate perchlorate. Now, I always have to note my son works at the EPA, so I have a conflict of interest, but I declare it. This rulemaking, which is not a rulemaking, it's an intention not to do a rulemaking, has enormous economic consequences for the recovery for everyone who is afraid of a rule regulating perchlorate. That was a favorite of Team Obama-Biden. And if Team Obama-Biden comes back in the form of Joe Biden, the front man for AOC and the whole left wing of the Democratic Party, expect them to regulate perchlorate and everything else. But in the meantime, economic growth will not be obscured. Major League Baseball, yesterday I was bemoaning that it was not going to happen. Well, last night they appear to have reached an agreement on a 60-game season beginning July 19th. That is the good news of the morning. The Justice Department is proposing limiting internet company protections, according to the Wall Street Journal. This will probably have the farthest-reaching effect on your life. The proposal will remove legal protections when platforms facilitate or solicit third-party content or activity that violates federal criminal law, according to the Wall Street Journal, such as online scams and trafficking illicit or counterfeit drugs. Internet companies would lose immunities if they acknowledge that unlawful conduct is taking place on their platform and they show reckless disregard for how users are behaving on their sites. Without those legal protections, tech companies could be exposed to claims for monetary damages from people allegedly harmed by online fraud and other illegal activity. That will mean they have to completely increase their hands-off approach right now. The department, DOJ, also wouldn't confer immunity to platforms in instances involving online child exploitation and sexual abuse, terrorism, or cyber stalking. It's a bill that I think is going to fly through Congress. Remember Danny Masterson in that 70s show? He played Hyde. He's been charged with raping 3 women in incidents that occurred between 2001 and 2003. Don't ask me why it took so long, but Hyde is in trouble. Now, the big story of the morning, of course, is John Bolton. Justice Department sued last night to stop the publication of John Bolton's book, In the Room Where It Happened. The Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal all covered the book extensively. It's got, I would say, grade B allegations in it, that he asked President Xi to help him with re-election, that he didn't like Jim Mattis very much, that Mike Pompeo said something bad about the president. All I know is that the New York Times hated the book. That tells you that the book does not deliver. Look, I haven't seen the book. They didn't send me the book. Everyone in D.C.'s got the book except me, but apparently the ambassador knew I wouldn't read it because it hadn't been pre-cleared. And I will not read a book that isn't pre-cleared. Can get people killed if it's got classified information in it. And when it eventually publishes, I'll read it. But I did enjoy the review because the review can't possibly have classified information in it, because I read the review and I said this is not, there can't be anything in it. And someone told me, some reporter yesterday said, there can't be classified information in it because the Trump administration says it contains lies. And if they're lies, lies aren't classified. I said, oh, you're so wrong, because so many lies are classified because they're lies of people who are under surveillance or sources and methods that include lies within them. And so I just don't deal with books that haven't gone through pre-review classification. So I won't be covering it. But I do want you to, I won't be reading it until after it's disclosed. But I do want you to hear what the New York Times had to say about it. The New York Times didn't like it at all. It said John Bolton may be the last person many Americans wish to hear from right now. Not that he would ever deign to make any concessions to what a reader might want. And so it begins with a slap at John Bolton. The room where it happened, an account of the 17 months as Trump's national security advisor, has been written with so little discernible attention to style and narrative that Bolton apparently presumes an audience is hanging on his every word. Known as a fastidious note-taker, Bolton has filled his book's nearly 500 pages with minute and often extraneous details, including the time and length of routine meetings and even at one point a nap. Underneath it all, of course, is a festering obsession with his enemies, both abroad, Iran, North Korea, and at home, the media, the high-minded, the former Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis. The book is bloated with self-importance, even though it mostly recounts as Bolton not being able to accomplish very much. It toggles between two discordant registers, exceedingly tedious and slightly unhinged. Still, it may be a fitting combination for a lavishly bewhiskered figure whose wonkishness and warmongering can make him seem like an unlikely hybrid of Ned Flanders and Yosemite Sam. Thus does the abiding hatred for Bolton trump the paragraphs intended in his book to wound Donald Trump. One day story. One day story. Now, the headline of the Washington Post is Trump asks Xi to help him win re-election. The Wall Street Journal says Trump put re-election prospects ahead of the national interest, Bolton alleges. And I think it's a one-day story, and I believe John will have. I like the ambassador a lot. I read his previous book. He is detail-oriented, but I'm not going to read it till it's cleared, and I don't think you ought to either. I take that very seriously. I also have sort of the Nixon approach to this. If you work for Team Nixon, you never talk about what happens in the room where it happens. The premise of the song, The Room Where It Happens, is that no one ever talked about the room where it happens because it's just not what's done. It's been 40 years since I worked for President Nixon and 30 years since I worked for President Reagan. I've written 14 books. I don't talk about it. An Atlanta police officer was charged with felony murder in the death of Rashard Brooks yesterday. Felony murder means you can get the death penalty in Georgia. Also, Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's, which are rooted in racist imagery, are changing, according to PepsiCo, their brands. The owner of these supermarket staples, much like the owners of the classic film Gone with the Wind and popular TV shows, are rethinking their products and marketing, according to the Wall Street Journal this morning. And in the Telegraph of Great Britain comes news that northern towns are leading the post-coronavirus property surge. This is happening in Maine, by the way, in Tennessee and other places where New Yorkers and Beltway people are fleeing to buy second homes away from urban crush, acting because they have money on the impulse, let's get away from the virus. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is actually happening. So what are markets doing? This is brought to you by Birch Gold. To get your portfolio diversified, which you ought very much to have done already, and you need to do now,